Specific question, but the third bullet point about available in English and Spanish.
Yes.
We have, I'm just curious, we have some families who are either coming or have already arrived from Afghanistan into our district, and maybe down the road we may have some Ukrainian families as well joining us. We'll see. But I'm just curious, and Haitian Creole, we obviously have a larger Haitian population than Afghans or Ukrainians, but we're predominantly English and Spanish speaking families at home. But for a precise language need like that, how do we, as a district, make these materials accessible for a child walking in with just no English language?
Right. That's a really good question. Deb she's our director of ELL. She served as one of the committee members for the overarching, and her specialists also considered everything. So do you all know specifics about different languages?
Vice Chair, Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm going to just change gears for a second. And we talked about this at the workshop, but I'm not sure how we can even do this. But as I told you at the workshop, I have a little bit of a problem. I have a problem. I don't have a little bit of a problem. I have a problem with the Pledge of Allegiance language here. And just so everybody's aware of what I'm talking about, the amended policy states a student will be excused from reciting the Pledge of Allegiance or the Declaration of Independence, which is new text, upon written request by the student's parents in accordance with state law. And then new text is also, see also policy 8800, religious and patriotic ceremonies and observances. And so Mr. Chair, I'll be brief. When we took our oath of office as constitutional officers, we were sworn to uphold the laws of the state of Florida and the laws of the state and the laws of the United States, and to I forget the exact words, but defend the U.S. Constitution. So because I believe there is at least two instances of the Supreme Court of the United States precedent that upholds the rights of students even at school, and specifically their free speech rights. While this Pledge of Allegiance language may be required by Florida statute, I think it conflicts with U.S. law, and therefore I can't support it. I believe, simply put, that a student should not be required to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and making that student or recite, excuse me, it says reciting. I don't believe a student should be forced to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and requiring a note from the student's parent. I don't think that's acceptable under the precedent of our Supreme Court. So that's my problem with that. I think we have Florida law in conflict with U.S. law, and if there was a way we could take this piece out, I would happily approve the rest of them, because I think, as Mr. Chapman said, they're in response to statute, or just updated language from Neola, whichever the case may be. But as of now, I can't support this policy batch because of that problem I have with that pledge language. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Attorney Dye, you have heard the objections raised by Board Member Kennedy, and if you do not have an opinion at this time, I can understand that, because this is just coming up now. But if you have an opinion as to whether or not we should not support the superintendent's recommendation, I would certainly like to hear.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Superintendent. I don't have a formal legal opinion. As far as the subject matter, your policies are the Neola policy on this subject matter.
What is Neola?
Neola is the organization that you hired to write your policies, and that's their expertise. And they do the vast majority of the policies for all the districts in the state.
All right.
By utilizing their services, they also defend their policies if they are challenged legally.
Okay.
On their nickel.
All right.
So that's a great benefit. So you're utilizing their recommended language regarding the Pledge of Allegiance. It follows the state statute on the Pledge of Allegiance, which is that students do not have to pledge allegiance or stand, but requires parental opt-out for that. So it's not the student's choice, it's the parent's choice.
Okay.
So that's the state law. The state law does say it's subject to federal law and constitutions. But that's the direction that Neola went in all their policies. So you do have the umbrella that if somebody challenges it, it would be up to them to defend it.
Thank you, sir. I'm so sorry.
No,
Is there anything?
I was done.
Okay, Ms. Foreman,
I have nothing.
right, and Mr. Choate?
I'm fine with it in there. I'm fine with it in there.
No, I didn't know whether
Oh,
you had some other
nope,
objection.
nothing else.
Ms. Foreman, it's not just limited to Mr. Kennedy's objection. Was there any other part that you had?
No, I don't.
All right, thank you very much. Hearing no other unreadnesses, thank you, Mr. Chapman. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the adoption of the new policies and amendments to the policies as recommended by the superintendent.
Which I believe we have them. Mrs. Messenger, motion, Mrs. Foreman seconded.
Already? Yep. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you're right. All right, hearing no other unreadnesses, the chair will call the question. All in favor of the approval of the adoption of the new policies and amendments to the policies as recommended by the superintendent, let it be known by the sign of aye, and we'll start with the vice chair.
Aye.
I'm a no.
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The vote is 4-1 that the adoption of the policies and amendments to the policies is carried. And having said that, as is always the case, if we get a different legal opinion, we're going to act accordingly. That goes without saying. All right?
Our ESSER $3 that we are supposed to receive from the Department of Education is in the tune of around 88 million. We have not received any of those funds to date. No district in the state of Florida has received any ESSER $3. Our plan, however, can easily be accessed so that you know what is in the plan and how we utilize those funds per the guidelines that were given to us for those expenditures. So that's easily accessed, excuse me, as well. We are also going to be having a workshop on mental health in April. So if anyone wants to have more information regarding SEL in any of those aspects, that workshop will be coming up. So that may be very informative as well. Once those dollars come in, it will be fully transparent. We have board meetings and approvals on any expenditures. So you will be able to track how we spend those dollars. And we will have approximately 2 years as of this date to spend the funds under ESSER 3. The federal guidelines and the state guidelines may change and extend it since no one so far in the state of Florida in K-12 education has received those dollars to date.
Social emotional learning. And what I'm about to say, I have said to other of my friends who are critics of SEL, which is despite some of the misinformation you may heard, the overall purpose of SEL is to help kids interact with their peers, but also regulate themselves, their own emotions in the classroom. Especially kids that are coming from difficult backgrounds, they're bringing a lot of stuff to school that requires more than just math and reading to help them grow to be the best person they can be. And SEL is part of that. There's a lot of kids coming from middle class and wealthy households that are coming with issues as well. That is the purpose, is to help kids get along with each other better, interact with each other, and then when there is an issue, how to self-regulate. Like CRT, and now this bill that's going through the legislature about what's happening in pre-K through third grade, It well, I don't say it pains me. It just, to me, it's just, and I've said this before, but to me, a lot of this is just election year, get people whipped up. Because at least in the state of Florida, think about the state of Florida, this state's education system has been in the control of one party, and that's of the governor and the folks in charge of the legislature right now. And that's been the case for 20 plus years. So my question for the governor and DOE and so forth, and the folks that would have you believe that this stuff is necessary, because there's all these terrible things happening in schools, is why would they allow these things to be taking place in a school system that they have built over the past 20 years? It just doesn't stand up to like the most basic inspection of the ideas. So, people get fed things to get them whipped up to come out to vote, to click an article or click a link or whatever. But I mean, just think about it. We know who is in charge of school districts in this state, who sets policy, who sets curriculum, who sets the standards. But we're supposed to believe that all these terrible things are embedded into the standards and the curriculum that they have put in place over the past 20 years. It just does not stand up to scrutiny. And I think there are people in politics who are hopeful that folks won't even do a little bit of thought about it. They'll just take the worst of it and run with it and go from there. But just do a little bit of digging below the surface. And or another one I love, and I promise, Mr. Chair, I'm almost done. You'll take the critics will take one thing that happened at one school, and it's probably in a blue county somewhere, and then that one teacher at that one school, that's happening all over the state. So I would just ask folks, like, please, that's all I had, the perfect timing, thanks, man. Just please, folks, do some critical thinking on these education issues, because you're being used. So that's it. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I have 3 minutes. I can't believe we're being timed. Okay.
Probably a good thing.
Regarding the 3 minutes and the amount of time involved, I do want to point out that we don't have a limit of 60 minutes for public comment. We have not changed our rules on public comment since I've been on the board, except to bring it to the earlier part of the meeting, which I think is a good thing. So if you have more than 3 minutes to share, as Ms. Messenger said, contact us. Send us an email, call us, make an appointment, and we'll sit down and talk face to face. And if we can't get it, if we don't know the answer, we'll get it for you, or direct you to where it should be. The other is that our website contains a plethora of information that I think will answer a lot of the questions. To follow up on Mr. Kennedy's point about the terrible things that are happening in schools across the country, if you know or hear or see something in Manatee County, let your school board members know. What's going on in Virginia and California isn't necessarily going on in our schools. And to insinuate or accuse us that these things are happening is, you want to talk about divisiveness, that's divisive, and it's disrespectful to our teachers who are having just a very difficult year dealing with these things, these matters, and still wanting to teach our children. And my heart aches for them. I really appreciate them. So before you throw out accusations, whether it be in the press or be in a meeting, just contact us. Let's talk about it. Let's try to make our county better and our school district better. You don't have to like your board members, but we need to like our schools. So that's all I have.
Sure. Everybody kind of took everything I wanted to say, so thanks, y'all. No, I'll add though to especially what Ms. Messenger said about communication dialogue. Please email. I mean, I do it all the time. I got a meeting Thursday with someone who wants to talk about an issue. So by all means, I know my door is always open. Not my house door, but my other doors. Email, phone call, text, whatever. Please. I hate sitting here looking. I know Miss Brinkley was the one, but it's other people that ask questions. I hate looking at someone and not be able to give an answer to them. But that's the public comment, the way it goes. I will say for me, I think the camera needs to be turned. I'll say that out loud so everybody can hear that. I think the camera from behind. I don't need to be on camera any more than I am. So it needs. I think we should flip it to have the person talking on camera. Can I get an answer for Miss Brinkley about some of the ESSER funds for like the air quality in the buses? I know we talked about that previously in the year. Yeah, would you mind doing that, Mr. Wagner?
I can, absolutely. I had two items that you brought up. The first one was the buses. So we have 12 buses on order currently. We have 4 in planning for the electric buses, which we received the Department of Education grant for. We believe our 12 diesel buses will be in later this summer. So those are rolling as far as the purchase order goes, but it's supply chains and that whole process has taken longer due to COVID to get vehicles in than we had planned. So to answer your question, 16 total, 12 are electric, or 4 are electric and 12 are diesel. HVAC, the filters, so prior to COVID, we had a MERV rating of 8 in our schools. After COVID, we're currently at 13.
What's a MERV rate?
That's how thick the filter is that will prevent the air flows through the filter, and if the coarser it is and tighter it is, the more it filters out.
So the higher the number.
Last thing with the transparency, with fiscal transparency to the school district. I don't even think that the state does a fiscal transparency to make how education is funded understandable to the public. I don't know. I've talked about it before. We did our legislative update. I only got 25 seconds, but 28 boxes. That was a good segue. 28 boxes to decide how we fund education. That, in my opinion, needs to be overhauled. That's a longer story than it is. But I would love to maybe work with Mr. Bergeron and try to do something to where we can critique something to make it more understandable. Yeah, would you have something to add to that, Mr. Bergeron?
A summary with the agenda documents. Anybody can request the detail. It's all public record. There are thousands of transactions, as we've talked about, so we can go from as far in the weeds as you want to go to something that we try to make more understandable, and that's what we're trying to achieve with what's in the agenda packet. Regarding transparency, though, we are audited annually. We're audited by independent certified public accountants. They're experts in accounting, they're experts in governmental accounting, they're experts in Florida governmental accounting. They have to consider anything that's in statute in their audit protocols or audit standards. Transparency is one of the things that they check for, and we just got a clean audit from our audit firm. Additionally, this school district goes beyond what many do, and we have an audit committee that is made up of independent citizens that you appoint, and one of the criteria for membership is either having a financial background or a school district background or both. The audit committee has access to another independent accounting firm. It's a local firm, and at a meeting last week, the audit firm presented their audit of our budget process, coincidentally, and the audit committee accepted it. There were no findings. It was a fairly positive report, and I'm pretty sure that's on the agenda for Friday's workshop. So, here's just another example of where, we're extremely transparent. We do everything that we can to be transparent, and we have 2 different independent confirmations of that transparency. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
All curriculum that's taught, all books that are read in the schools can be found. I'm going to go over. Can be found on our website, go to departments, curriculum, and then from there you can go into every single school's library. What's in the library? You can go to every single grade's book, click in there. We give you the password to go look in the books at all the publishers. So please feel free to do it.